Heyo, my Planet Coaster friends, Johnny5 Alive here, and welcome back to another episode of Coaster Spotlight. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at an assortment of amazing fantasy-themed coaster creations, so stay tuned and let's check them out. Welcome back, everybody, and as mentioned, we're going to be looking at fantasy coaster creations here today on the show. And if you're new here, be sure to smash that subscribe, leave a like if you enjoy these videos, and be sure to check us out on Discord. Links are down in the description below. And if you guys want to get your stuff featured on the show with priority, check out my Patreon page, as you can get Spotlight priority at the beginning of the month every month. And with that out of the way, let's dive right into the first creation of the day. Ghost Kingdom Compact Coaster, created by Weasel Buddy, one of our Discord new builders, and here he says, "Hey Johnny, to start off, I would like to say thank you so much for featuring my very newbie creations and giving me feedback. It really means a lot to me. So now to the coaster. It is supposed to be a compact, but I'm not sure if I succeeded in that action, but I tried. The coaster takes you through the ruins of an old war of spirits who fought in the war, continue to haunt the kingdom as you speed through it. And yet again, if you have any, I would love your nice feedback. Dig in with your feedback if you can. Enjoy the coaster and have a great day." Boom. You got it, Weasel Buddy. We're gonna dig right into this one today, starting with the coaster stats. Here we go, everyone. So we have what do we have here? A hybrid steel track Malice Unchained RMC coaster. And any coaster swaps? Nope. There we go. Excitement's not the best in terms of simulation, but everything else is green. Duration's pretty fair for a compact blueprint. Seems pretty mild overall. So let's check it out and see how we feel about it. Boom! Let's mute this so I can think. Why do I have Windows sound effects? It's driving me crazy. All right, so short and simple, which is fine. In terms of compact, I think it's pretty big. It's just because of all your rock work, but I think it works. I think it's fine. I mean, once the queue's set up around here, yeah, it's nice. Aesthetically speaking, let's see how many pieces you're at here. So you have 1,600. You have some more pieces to work with. I probably would have just added more detail to the castle with the bridge. Feels like there should have been some chains here or something. It's just kind of squared off, a little bit awkward. I know this is your boarding station, but it's also a bridge. So yeah, maybe some like big chains coming down. Just add some more stuff to it to make it feel a little bit more grimacing, and maybe even just take some inspiration from other games, like boot up Eichenwald from Overwatch or something, and just take a look at how they do their castles, or any other game for that matter. But I love the spooky, ghostly lighting. It might be a little bit over the top in some areas. It's a pretty bright blueprint overall, so maybe just tone it down a bit, but I think it's pretty good. I think it's solid. Oh, I didn't even notice the catapult. Look at that. I probably would have made that out of something else, so I would have recognized it right away. It just looked like a basic shape or a rock sitting there. Make a bucket of some sort. But the coaster, let's talk about that for a quick sec here, because I felt the coaster was lacking in smoothing and banking. So really, when it's coming around these corners, just really crank that banking and then smooth it out. It'll bring the banking back down and just back and forth massage it over and over and over again. You can see as they're coming across these tracks between the transitions, it's really wiggly. It's wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. It's just rough and rickety, and I get that that might work with your theming in terms of like things falling apart and the coaster's like rickety and stuff, but because it's a coaster game and we're riding it in POV, we want that POV to be as smooth as possible, especially with an RMC like this. Just think you could push that and bank that a little bit more, bank it coming through here, because the coaster, I think the coaster like layout was good with just some further tweaking, polish, and you know, smoothing and banking. I think it's good. good. I think it's solid, even though it's a short coaster and stuff. Yeah, I think that's the route you want to take with it. For me, I feel like this whole frontal area could be squashed down a little bit. Like this bridge could have been pushed over to here. Or, I don't know. I just feel like you could reduce this a little bit more, and so it's just more compact like you're going for. But overall, a very strong submission by Weasel Buddy here today. Hopefully you found my feedback somewhat helpful, and if you guys have any tips, pointers, critiques, feel free to drop them in the comments for Weasel Buddy to read. Yeah, one opinion is never enough, so the more the merrier. All right, great job once again, Weasel Buddy, and it's time to check out the next creation of the day. Tahrif, created by Capital Thrills, one of our Discord expert builders. And holy moly, you're getting a lot of features. This is not intentional, guys. I'm picking by theme, and he just so happens to have made one of every theme that I picked. That's quite amazing. I'm just noticing his name for the third time in the last handful of recordings I've done. So there we go. What does he say here? The legend of El Loco has now been awakened and has taken his claim on the African hillside of Tahrif. Twisting and turning through the sub-African terrain, Tahrif is taking a grip to the citizens. So now you step up to him and make the final stand, but you're taken back by the rumored curse that surrounds the land and begin to tremble in fear. You go in as planned and attempt to take down the beast. Will you survive or die trying? The choice is yours. By the way, this is the link to the ride sign. Oh, so it's a two-part blueprint? Let's download this. And there's the sign. Boop. Tahrif. Now, if it's a separate blueprint, I probably would have put a little bit more detail into it, like an actual board and signs and garden work around it. Just go a little bit more ham, assuming you couldn't fit the part count into the blueprint. Definitely would have. Anyways, the feedback for later, but you get the point. Let's take a look at the ride stats on the Tahrif coaster. What do we have here? We got a crazy one, Looney Turn. It's been a while since we rode one of these. Pretty mild stats overall. Another short duration coaster. I think we're going to ride this one at both day and night because it looks phenomenal at night, as you might have saw from some of these cinematics. So why don't we start off with night since we're here, and let's give it a go. Another short but sweet coaster, and I gotta say, this is very Looney Turns traditional. It just has all the makings of a proper Looney Turns. The way you've dropped it, turned it upside down, twisting it around, shifting levels, bringing it back up, and then doing it again and again. These drops are amazing. I think it's executed to perfection. It really is a good Looney Tunes, and it's like stacked on top of these buildings, brings together a nice composition, great for any fantasy park. Really have no feedback for you today. I think this is a very solid creation at both day and night, just really polished. Other than my feedback to the sign in the beginning. I mean, I just feel like this lacks the polish that everything else has. I would love to see a little bit more garden work, a big billboard on it, wooden billboard or whatever. Just, you know, just jazz it up like you've done everywhere else. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Do you agree? Would you change anything at all? I'm sure Capital Thrills would love to hear your feedback. And I do want to point out, he was in the Western bundle, the Steampunk bundle, and the Fantasy bundle. I don't think he was featured in any of the Patreon bundles. I don't think he's a patron. So basically 3 for 3 of the bundles here. And that was not intentional, as I mentioned earlier. I'm grabbing these things and they're themed out. So we might only have 8 fantasy coasters to work with. And I grabbed 3 that I feel would work well together. He so happened to fit the bill every time, and he just so happened to have one of every theme. So this just goes to show everybody that wants to get on the show, whatever your rank is, new builder, advanced, expert, if you're building multiple things and submitting multiple blueprints and trying lots of different themes and variety, you could be like Capital Thrills and get featured in pretty much every single episode by luck. So this is actually like a really good example of why I'm changing why I'm doing Coaster Spotlight 2.0. It just goes to show how many more people we would get to feature in a short amount of time. And even though we saw him 3 times, it didn't feel like he was getting spoiled because there were a total of 6 other creations that were seen as well. So everybody's getting a chance, and this is just great. Loving it. Let's move on to the next creation. Dragon's Maw Fantasy Dive Coaster, created by Jock. Ooh, Jock, one of our Discord advanced builders. And here he says, "Heyo, Johnny, this is my newest creation, and this is the first time trying to do bigger modeling with basic shapes. It's a very high dive coaster that goes straight through the mouth of a dragon with very well themed fantasy area all around the coaster and a big castle for the station. I was a challenge to work with on this one, but a lot of fun as well." Boom. I have my eye on you, Jock. So I think Synchros would have featured Jock's Temple of Anubis, and I featured him a while back with the Gold Rush coaster, and I think he came forward with a dynamite creation in the contest as well, or I might be mistaking him for someone else. Either way, Jock is an amazing builder, definitely up and coming in this community. So let's take a closer look at his coaster. So for this one, I think we're gonna ride it at day, but I want to show the nighttime lighting of the sign. Looks phenomenal. So here's a look at the coaster, everyone. It's a dive Athon, and all stats green with the biggest drop at 80 meters on a blueprint coaster. That is actually quite impressive and difficult to pull off. So very good stuff here today by Jock. Let's give it a ride. Boom! That was freaking great. I gotta say, Jock, one thing that I would change here We pause it. It gets dark in here, but then we actually, the ground reveals. What I would do is cover this with a black basic shape so we don't like have a flash of green in our face and then boom, darkness. That way we are going right into a black basic shape, and then we reveal the light and maybe have a little bit of smoke on the backside of the basic shape, just so we get a little bit of a transition where it's not so jarring. That's my one feedback there. And in our Western episode a while back, the Western bundle, I mentioned to Just Katie. It's Just Katie? If you're watching this, it's Just Katie. I was talking about your underground build, and this is how I explained it should be done, where you build the inside with pieces, which is tricky, but that's how you got to do it. Otherwise, you see the end of the world, and that's the way Just Katie had it. So I really appreciate the effort you've gone through here, Jock, with filling in the basic shape, or not the basic shapes, the rocks, to make such a big tunnel like that. Really nice addition, and what it also allows you to do is really extend the length of your drop. So without having the dive coaster go up this high and all this awkward lift, you've extended it underground, and that's just brilliant in my opinion. These towers look amazing. The theming looks great. This is a solid blueprint. I mean, it's very large, but I think you've done a good job at making it aesthetically pleasing for the size that it is. Definitely some expert quality work here today from our advanced builder, Jock. So we got to do something about that, Jock. Be sure to apply for that workshop review, because I definitely think you've been cranking out some amazing stuff as of lately. So boom. Let me know what you guys thought of these creations down in the comments below. And that's going to do it for me here today in this fantasy episode. I got to say, these 3 creations were all very unique and diverse. So really fun fantasy episode. I'm happy with it. Keep up the good work, Weasel Buddy, Capital Thrills, and Jock. And thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye now.